generation built to fight. Together, we are unstoppable. Are you ready?
Killing spree. Double kill.
Hello, let's do some damage. Skewer acquired.
Grapple jet.
Claim the enemy flag. Return it to base. Ordnance drop inbound. The flag is ours. Please haul ass at your earliest convenience.
Now, show me what you can do.
Just the feeling of like being in a firefight and hearing the click of the gun, throwing it down, grabbing one off the wall.
My gunner's upside down and he's like laying in. I see kill assist, kill assist, kill assist.
Any pistol across any of the games. Whatever gun allows me to feel the most like John Wick, I am there.
I remember how excited I was with like this big combat with vehicles going all over the place.
Halo means something different for everyone, right? I think that's what makes Halo great.
What is Halo multiplayer? And for me, it boils down to this tight arena-style combat and big team battle, this wide open, vehicle-infused kind of combat. We're taking that awesome legacy or classic Halo combat experience and modernizing it in ways that'll feel fresh to old players and really exciting to new players. We're gonna give you great ways to customize your Spartan, really make your super soldier your own, and we're kicking off a journey, an experience that's gonna evolve month to month, season to season, year after year.
For me, working through this multiplayer of this game, and the toughest challenge I think was really about how do we respect the legacy of what came before us, but still build something that feels new.
We've tried to bring all these elements of legacy and really inject them into Halo Infinite, not just like in a way where you kind of won't notice it, where you feel like, oh, they really designed this to be a celebration of previous Halo, as well as an iteration of where Halo can go next. The vision of Arena was all about a tight experience. It was all about being fair. It was all about earning everything on the map, earning everything, every kill you get.
Going back to like what is the core foundation of what made the great Halo multiplayer arena matches great. Halo, it's really about fair and balanced starts, so everybody's on equal footing when they come off the rip. And then once they start running around, it's about scavenging, it's about finding new toys and kind of developing your playstyle as you run through the match.
What makes Halo feel like Halo? I feel like the answer to that question is the sandbox. Like, the sandbox is Halo.
When we set out to look at Halo Infinite from a high level and the direction of what it is, there's lots of exciting things there because we really wanted to push what are the things that are true to Halo, but what are the things that fans haven't seen yet.
Equipment is back, but equipment is kind of has a bigger voice than ever before. We ask questions to ourselves of if you could go after a power weapon to get a bunch of kills, would you do that, or could you go and get grapple to make sure that you swing yourself to the other side of a map to back cap a stronghold? We saw it as like another avenue of not just skill expression, but tactics for teams to coordinate around.
The exciting combinatory nature of this toy plus this toy and how those interact with objectives is super amazing.
Looking at how the power-ups play, like your classic power-ups like the overshield and the active camouflage. For this title, what we're looking at, what we're excited for, is you pick that up and you choose when you activate it. It goes into your inventory. If you haven't used it and someone kills you in multiplayer, you drop that overshield and then they could take it, use it for themselves. That to me is very legacy, but we took the equipment side of it and modernized it. When it comes to the vehicles, we went in and decided to invest a lot in the systems. When I take damage in my Warthog, my wheels can get blown off, my hood can get blown off. There's different aspects of the vehicle that change how my vehicle handles now. And that's something that's brand new.
The other thing we added to that is like this doomsday mechanic. So when you hit this threshold, the vehicle catches fire, and it's very much, you've got a certain amount of health or a certain amount of time, and you gotta choose what you wanna do with the last minutes of this vehicle.
We've got a cousin to the Warthog, which is the Razorback.
The back has this like multi-storage compartment that you can put a lot of stuff into. So if you want to put like detached turrets, power weapons, fusion coils, objectives, and that is what's really making the Razorback kick a lot of butt in MP and campaign.
The levels define pace for the game, how frantic it is, and they define that iconic fantasy for players as they're entering that match. What do they want to do? What type of experience are they hoping to have? What kind of combat, what kind of dance floor is there available to have that combat in?
For me, BTB is all about experiencing the full extent of the sandbox of Halo in just one match, right? Like you see the vehicles, the weapons, the equipment.
We really wanted to take that kind of concept, those feels you had, playing the previous games, and just turn the volume up. Vehicles are no longer just spawning at bases anymore. We have Pelicans delivering them, and we have a commander in your ear telling you that Pelicans are going to be dropping off these vehicles.
Scorpion tank is inbound.
We have Halo 2 style Delta Halo mission weapon pods that fall from the sky to resupply the field.
That's where it makes it feel like a real battlefield, and it's very exciting.
This is not just more players, this is just this certain beautiful slice of sci-fi chaos.
The announcer is your big gameplay moments, your game modes, just like the way it was before.
Flame capture.
Personal AI is really a reflection and information for the player.
Personal AI. Designation button.
So if a player grabs a flag, your personal AI is going to tell you to, get that thing back to base and give you some moment-to-moment updates.
Our team took the enemy flag.
What if we can let players choose their own AI, and each one of those are different voices, so that players can find the one that fits their personality and their mood the best?
They add to the sense of me as a Spartan being more important, and for us in multiplayer, it is really about becoming a Spartan, your Spartan. You are you inside of the Halo universe.
The body of customization content that we have on day one ensures that there will be millions of customization combinations for Spartans on the battlefield. That includes things like armor coatings, armor emblems, various armor effects, down to the individual armor pieces, so your shoulders, your gloves, your knee pads, your helmet, your visor, your helmet attachments. Then you look at weapons, and we've got a whole slew of customization offerings there. Vehicles have a huge pool of customizations too. We support customization in the game. Players can do the same thing on HaloWaypoint.com, as well as the Halo Waypoint app.
The player also customizes the Spartan, the soldier inside the suit. We want the Spartan to represent the player as much as possible. They can change their body type and their voice, as well as choose prosthetics for the first time.
Coatings offer us a unique opportunity to craft some hyper-polished looks and let you express yourselves in ways you've never been able to before. We're coming at this from a player-first mentality. So what that means is that
Amada y apreciada comunidad de KetoCore, gracias por estar aquí en este evento que promete estar a una altura máxima. Lo que hoy nos va a contar Halo promete estar esperanzador para el futuro de la franquicia del mismo juego. Estamos a pocos minutos para dar inicio a lo que tiene que ver ya con el evento. Lo que les estábamos mostrando hace un par de segundos era la previa de todo lo que había pasado, de todos los rumores que se habían sacado por ahí. Pero ya estamos a segunditos, mis niños, de poder disfrutar en lleno de lo que se nos viene con el nuevo Halo. A todas las personas que se inscribieron en el modo Insider Waypoint de Halo y les tuvo que aparecer esa imagen que tengo por acá donde dice Welcome Halo Infinity, les tuvo que haber llegado a su correo para ser parte de lo que tiene que ver con la beta del juego. Si no les llegó, lamentablemente mis niños no van a poder participar de la beta del juego. No van a poder participar por este momento, sino hasta un futuro. Quizás yo que voy a participar no pueda participar en un futuro dentro de la beta, pero gracias, he sido uno de los tantos, y no solo porque sea buen jugador, sino porque fui escogido y fue algo al azar. Yo me suscribí tanto como para Xbox como también para la consola. Estuve subiendo videos aquí a la página y subiendo videos a nuestro canal de YouTube, mostrándole a la gente cómo tenía que hacer para poder suscribirse al servicio de Halo Waypoint para poder participar. Así que atentos, preparados, porque estamos a menos de 2 minutos de poder disfrutar ya de lo que va a ser todo lo que tiene que ver con el multijugador de Halo, todo lo que nos va a tener, todo lo que nos va a traer. Estoy muy emocionado porque creo que este es el momento de Xbox. Este es el año de Xbox con todo lo que nos ha dado, el Game Pass, todas las cosas que sigue regalando, etcétera, etcétera. Está tratando muy bien a la comunidad y a la comunidad le ha gustado el trato y por eso se ha visto cómo han ido a buscar las diferentes consolas. De verdad, muchas gracias a los que están aquí. Gracias por llegar y visitarnos en esta hora. Ok, ya estamos a punto de comenzar con lo que tiene que ver la conferencia de Halo. Ya casi arranca. Estamos ya a un minuto exactamente, 1 minuto 40 segundos para poder ver esta obra de arte que me ha gustado demasiado. Vamos a ver, ya casi mis niños. Ustedes pueden ver los detalles del Master Chief ahí, todas las cosas que han ido diseñando. Esto de verdad está muy bello. Ya bajó la música. Ya se paró la música. Ya es hora que arranque. Ahí está. Vamos a ver. Va a haber un momento en que me voy a quedar callado para que usted disfrute. Este es el trailer que ya habíamos visto anteriormente, el que yo les mostré en la previa. O sea, este juego promete estar salvaje y más si va a ser free to play, crossplay en todos los sentidos. Ese gancho de verdad que a mí, ese gancho a mí me tiene enamoradísimo de este juego. Gracias a la gente que nos está mirando de todo corazón, muchas gracias, de verdad. Ese martillo es criminal. Qué bueno que va a estar. Ahora, también vamos a tener un escudo que antes no lo teníamos para protegernos. O sea, va a tener que ser muy diestro a la hora de jugar. Hay muchas mecánicas que todavía no entiendo que salen ahí. Pero sí promete estar a la altura de este Halo. O sea, todo eso. O sea, vamos a poder... No sé si esto es zona de guerra, la verdad. No sé si lo que vimos ahí en el momento del gancho y subirte a la nave es zona de guerra. Pero vamos a ver de qué va. Gracias por ese pulgar arriba. Vean eso. O sea, eso es me gusta esta parte donde te metes a la nave. Si te acuestas, te metes a la nave y para adelante. Gracias por esas pulgadas arriba. Muchas gracias por estar aquí. No olviden suscribirse a nuestra página y a nuestro canal de YouTube. Ahí está. Captura la bandera, modo tradicional, modo emblema de Halo. Debe estar ahí. Bien. Lanzacohetes. Adiós. Ese samurai me gusta bastante. Samurai se mira bien potente el samurai. Yo sé que la comunidad de Halo está feliz por esto. Sí, y no solo los de Halo, sino que también aquellos que nunca han tenido la oportunidad de jugarlo, ahora lo van a poder jugar en PC. Maravilla. Vamos a ver qué viene.
Hey everyone, what is up? This is Brian, also known as Sketch, across the community, and we are coming to you live today from 343 Industries here in Redmond, Washington. And let me just say, it feels great to be back. I feel like today has been a long time coming. I'm excited to finally kick this off. I know you all are, so welcome to today's live stream, and we are going to dive into this weekend's upcoming Halo Infinite Tech Preview. Now, before we get going, just want to give you guys a little bit of context for what we're going to cover today. We're going to have a couple guests rotate through. We're going to dive right into the same exact build that Halo Insiders will get their hands on starting tomorrow. We are live, so all the same known issues that we're aware of in this tech preview that's work in progress are also in this build today. So who knows what's going to happen. Hopefully everything goes smoothly, but just ask everyone to bear with us. Also, I've kind of been in my house in the quarantine for about 2 years, if you can't tell. So we might be a little bit rusty, but we're going to have a lot of fun today. We got a lot of cool stuff to talk about and show. So to kick things off, I want to introduce Sam Hanshaw, producer on the live team. Sam, welcome.
Thanks. It's good to be here. I'm ready to have some fun and introduce our fans to our first tech preview.
So let's sort of start by setting a little bit of context. And I know folks are eager to see stuff and dive in. We're going to get to that in a few minutes, but just let's kind of start at the highest level. We talk about flighting a lot. We talk about tech previews a lot. Kind of what do we want our
Creo que la prueba que nos van a mostrar va a ser directa.
What do we mean? Like, what is the context for what this really is?
Sure. So I think that calling it a tech preview, that encapsulates.
Creo que la prueba que nos van a mostrar va a ser directamente de una PC. Desde ahí.
We're looking to make sure that the servers are up and running well.
De eso están hablando.
We can support everything with our service infrastructure. Obviously, we also want people to have
Veo que es una PC. Vamos a ver qué pasa.
We need to get feedback on the breadth of hardware that we know is out there. You know, we can't test on every combination of hardware that people have for their PCs, but we know
Sí, va a ser desde una PC. Eso es lo que entiendo.
So we need your help to
desde una PC lo van a ejecutar.
And this is safe to say this will be the biggest scale.
Bueno, van a usar el mando también por lo que veo.
We're talking hundreds of
ya el mando está conectado a la PC,
participate this weekend. And obviously we've been hard at work.
Me gusta la chamarra que anda el tipo. Sí, le queda la gorra del signo. ¡Opa! ¡Epa! ¡Epa! Ese no soy yo, ese fue el stream de ellos. Ese fue el streaming de ellos. ¿Qué pasó, Halo? ¿Qué pasó?
Testing for it and kind of targeted bug fixes towards getting a stable product.
Vean los emblemas que
have
no
out
tipo
today
por acá. Vean los
for
emblemas.
tech preview. Now, it's 2 months old. It's still got some bugs. We know that. We've got a robust known issues list.
¡Epa! Está tronando como nunca hoy. Hoy se vino a tronar. Hoy se va a ir la luz que estamos en este evento tan importante. Gracias a la gente que está aquí con nosotros. Gracias por esas reacciones.
See how they're reproduced and fix them internally. But yeah, it's been about 2 months of testing, fixing, and play testing.
Okay. Está hablando de las pruebas, de todas las pruebas que se van a hacer.
And if I really wanted to roll it back even further, it's safe to say that we've been flighting as kind of a process, which by the way,
es normal
for those that aren't familiar, because not everybody uses the same jargon out there, right? When we talk about flighting, it's really the process of putting out kind of iterative pre-release software to a target audience with some expected goals to go after. We put the build out, the test, we get the feedback, and we act on that feedback and sort of move on to the next one. So safe to say we've been doing this for quite some time at a much smaller scale. So this is not the first time we've put the game in the hands of civilians, so to speak. So we've been getting feedback all along. I just kind of wanted to bring that point up. It's not like we've just been heads down. This is our first time sharing our baby with the world. We've had a small group of various insider private flights, user research. So all these inputs have been a critical part of development really since the beginning. certainly, but now we're opening the floodgates to get
Me gusta
all
la,
sorts of new
ese,
perspectives.
la
I think
La
critically,
chamarra que
fresh
anda
eyes,
está
brand new
deliciosa.
Yeah,
Igual la gorra,
fresh eyes, fresh
soy fanático de las
hardware,
gorras y la que anda está
everything
belleza.
we could ask
Voy a ver
for is
cuando me
coming
mando a
from
hacer una de
underdeveloped
ellas y decir que es
people who are gonna be
original.
playing this weekend.
So before we move on, I also just want to comment on, if your Twitter feed's like mine,
Muéstrame gameplay, hermano, muéstranos gameplay, muéstranos gameplay.
Insiders. It's been kind of a whirlwind of emotions, I'm sure, for many people. Sending out hundreds of thousands of emails, it turns out, takes a lot of time. There are people, as of an hour or two ago, I'm seeing are just now receiving their emails. So I think my message to everyone is, not everyone will get in this particular tech preview and this flight. And we knew that was going to be the case because, we need to incrementally grow. We sort of want to walk before we run, right? But I do want to make sure people know that there will be future opportunities, right?
Está hablando de la beta, de la apertura de la beta también.
This is the first and probably the smallest. So as we grow and over the coming months, as we put out new builds with
¡Epa! ¡Sigue tronando, mi
niño!
Y violentamente.
So,
Hola, que no
just
se nos
really
vaya a ir la
quickly,
energía.
If you want to be a participant in a future tech preview or flight, please head to haloinsider.com. Anyone can
Ok,
opt in
está
at
diciendo
any
que
point.
pueden
Make sure your
visitar,
profile is completed.
los que no
We'd
se
love to get
suscribieron
more
pueden
and more
visitar la
people in for
página
future
de
flights, as Sam
Halo
mentioned.
One Point para
Sam,
registrarse
maybe
para la
now let's
próxima
shift gears
beta
a little bit.
que
I
van a
think
sacar
one
más
of the really
adelante.
cool and ambitious aspects of this project is
Esta gente va a correr el juego desde una PC y eso es lo que yo quería ver. Cómo se va a ejecutar el juego desde una PC, porque ya sabemos que las consolas lo van a levantar. O sea, ellos tienen experiencia en sacar el juego desde la PC, perdón, desde la consola, pero lo van a correr desde una PC y eso es lo que yo quería ver. ¿Cómo? ¿Cuánto? Aún no se sabe qué capacidades, ¿sí? Ocupa la computadora para correr este juego. Esto va a ser aburrido hasta el momento en que ellos empiecen a mostrar el gameplay. Esto es aburrido. Hasta este momento todo lo que están hablando, explicando detalles técnicos del juego, etc. Pero ya pronto se nos viene el gameplay puro.
The experience that we're going to put out in this
Y no le tengo tanto miedo a este juego porque los servidores de Microsoft fallan una vez cada 100 años. O sea, no tengo miedo. Pero cualquier cosa puede pasar. Cualquier cosa puede pasar. Gracias a la gente que está por acá. No olvide dejar su like si les gusta que estemos transmitiendo este evento por hoy, ¿verdad? Gracias a todos los que han compartido y a los que han dejado su like por ahí a los que están viendo.
And often create instability. We wanted to keep this as stable as possible when we launch it to you all. So this build, about 2 months behind in terms of performance, and obviously there's
está hablando de
one way to go
del cruce de juegos en
ambas plataformas.
Y que sí, sí. Y si va a poder haber crossplay en este momento. O sea, si vas a poder jugar con tu amigo desde una que tenga una Xbox y tú de una super mega PC. Eso fue lo que logré entender.
So speaking of that, I know people are eager to see some stuff. It's kind of cool, really, if you think about it. Live to date, we've only ever shown Halo Infinite.
Okay, creo que ya viene el
We're going to do that here live today in a little bit. We're going to show some stuff off.
Creo que sí ya viene el gameplay.
This is going to be the first time people can see what the game looks like running on an actual Xbox hardware. So prior to this stream, we were able to put together a little bit of gameplay capture.
Sí,
and I'd like to give folks a glimpse at this is going to be a Halo Infinite multiplayer match recorded, I believe, last week here in the studio. Just to give people a sense of this is the game as it currently stands in this build.
Gracias por esa reacción. Gracias de verdad por ese corazón.
I'm going to give a shout out to Joshua here behind the scenes who's running production for the live stream.
Joseph Reyes,
Josh, if you want to cue that up, I think people are really eager to see some gameplay. Let's take a look. Let's see how this game's looking currently on Xbox One.
Gracias de verdad por esa reacción. Vamos a ver, aquí está. Este gameplay. Esto es gameplay, señores. Lo que están viendo es gameplay. Pero se ve. Mira este campero, mira este campero. ¡Epa!
Sam, clearly we're looking at a little Slayer match here on Bazaar, one of our new maps.
Yo desde que tengo conocimiento, José. Yo desde que tengo conocimiento soy fanático. ¿Quién lo
Yeah,
está
I
usando?
can't remember if we've shown things like the pulse carbine being used in first person. I think it was briefly
¡Epa!
shown
Se lo
by a
se lo
trailer.
llevó.
And I think this is the first time
Granada,
we've shown
señor,
first-person
granada.
view of someone walking around in Bazaar.
I think it has.
Opa, ¿y
We're also
contra
right
cuántos
now
está
kind of
jugando?
getting
Ya
a
le dieron
look at the
piso.
friend
¿Contra
info
cuántos está
system that
jugando?
We've discussed in some of our blogs in the past. This
Ok,
is
para poder
kind of
marcar
moving
una
away from
diferencia,
forcing players into red and blue, allows us to
veo
kind of
que a
maintain
tus enemigos te los está marcando de rojo. A los enemigos te los marca de rojo porque andan diferentes
Yeah, and I think
skins
this is a
o diferentes
pretty good
trajes.
example of that, and I think
Sí, ya no te los
you
pone
really
equipo
see
rojo y
those
equipo
pop out on the
equipo
Xbox
azul.
One hardware.
Eso es lo que estoy viendo, mira.
I think I
Vas a
just
poder
noticed a
usar
custom skin
el
applied
traje
to AR
personalizado
there
que
I
tú
saw
quieras, por lo que estoy viendo.
And this one.
Ok.
I do love the. Oh yeah.
Solo
I
te
love
lo va a
the AR
remarcar
skins.
en rojo,
It's
el equipo
kinda nice
rojo,
being able
como
to
un,
customize
algo
your style and
fosforescente,
weapon.
y en
It's the one
azul,
you're gonna
el
see
equipo
most
azul.
often, so I like to have mine.
¿Sí ves? O sea, eso es lo que estoy diciendo. ¡Wow!
Now, internally,
O sea,
from a
ahora
development
ya
playtest
entiendo
perspective,
cómo
I mean,
va a ser la
obviously we've got
mecánica
teams
de
focusing on all
pago de
platforms and all
Xbox.
builds,
Cómo lo
and
van
safe
a
to say that
hacer la
we've got
mecánica.
folks
Ay,
truly
interesante.
getting sweaty on Durango, on Xbox Series
Okay.
X and S, and low, medium, and high PC specs.
¿El mapa lo veo pequeño o el
Yeah,
tipo solo
so
anda rondeando por el
obviously,
mismo
as I said
lugar?
before, we can't cover every
¿Cuántas
PC
armas puedes
spec
usar?
out there,
¿Cuántas armas
but we try
anda?
to have a good range within our
¿O será
testing,
una super
and
fiesta
we
que
have
va
folks
cambiando
playing
las
on
armas?
Xbox Ones
¿Será
regularly,
eso?
myself included.
Eso es lo que
I
estoy
try and
notado
play
por el
first on
momento. Eso es lo
Xbox
que he
One
notado
as
por el
much as
momento.
possible.
Esa es la gente que nos
It's a
está
really
viendo.
important thing for us to-
Claro, porque ahora
to
cambió el
make
arma.
sure
Creo que
it's
será
looking
una
good.
super fiesta.
Yeah, it really is awesome that we're
Aún no
able
han
to
usado
kind
el
of
gancho,
bring
que es
that
lo que quiero
audience
ver.
forward with us,
El gancho
right?
no
We
lo
know
han
there's
usado. Ok,
obviously
enemigo.
a large amount of Xbox One players out there, especially as, you know, frankly, some
O
people
sea,
I think
ve
are
a tu
still eager
compañero
to
está
acquire the
remarcado en
console,
azul.
with some of the supply chain issues that have come around during the pandemic, not necessarily easy for everyone. So,
Es una eliminación, van
you know, thankfully, I'm
23
not
a
one of the engineers.
21.
I can't imagine it's necessarily a trivial undertaking to be able to scale so smartly across different hardware, but I gotta say,
Sí, el
shaping
mapa
up super,
relativamente
super
el mapa es
nice, and really
pequeño.
looking
Por lo
forward
que
to
estoy
getting
viendo,
some
este mapa
feedback
que
from
están
Xbox
usando
One
es muy
players
pequeño.
after this weekend.
Yeah,
Pero
absolutely.
bueno, para hacer una eliminatoria tiene que ser pequeño.
So I think that's going to wrap up that clip that we have. Now we're going to show a little more gameplay here in a bit. We're going to have Tom French, our multiplayer associate creative director, join us.
Armas tradicionales. Ah, date la vuelta, hermano.
But once this wraps up, we're going to jump back over
¿Qué es
to
lo
the
que
build
quieren
and
tomar?
we're going to look
¿Es
through
una
this real
bola?
quick right here. By the way, I heard you're a real
Ok, ya nos quitaron el gameplay. Ya nos quitaron el gameplay.
I love the Needler.
Pero bueno,
I think
empecemos a
it's
sacar algunos detalles importantes de lo que
I've
acabamos
loved
de
every
ver.
expression.
El mapa donde
Has
estaban
always been
ahorita
the most powerful
situados
gun in the game, but it's
es
always been interesting to
pequeño,
It feels
relativamente
like it shreds
pequeño.
in this game, at least in our playtest, right?
El modo de
Yes.
juego
It's-
puede
do
ser
not sleep on
una
the Needler this
fiesta,
weekend,
esas
I'll just say
normales que
that.
tú te
Yeah,
das, que te van
especially,
rotando un montón de
against
armas.
bots, like, they don't know how
Ahora
to
los
deal with it,
skins
so-
vas a usar,
Yeah,
si
you
es
can
rojo, rojo,
You
si es
mentioned
café,
bots. We'll
café,
talk
si es
about that a
verde,
little bit
verde.
more, a little bit later
El
in the
traje
show
que te
today
den de
when
Spartan,
Tom joins us.
solo que va a estar
Why don't we sort
remarcado
of pivot back now
en
to the
rojo
real
o en azul,
build,
va a
which
depender
I'm
del
sure
equipo
people are really eager to see.
en que estés.
And I thought maybe
Y
we
eso es
just
bueno
kind of
porque
help
creo que va a ser la
give
forma
our
en que
players
Xbox
who
va a
are going to be a part of
venderte.
the tech preview, just kind of get in the lay of
Vas
the
a
land,
generar el dinero
show them what they
para
can
eso. No sé
expect
si va a haber
and
pase
what
de
that's going to
batalla
look
aún.
like. So Josh, maybe if you want to
Entonces,
cut to, we'll go to my
sí, es
feed,
muy interesante.
I reckon, and we can
Que
sort of
no sé
take
si
a
va a
look at
jugar el tipo o lo va a correr desde una
our
PC.
lobby space, I guess. You know, what is the official term for this
No,
space that we're
creo
gonna
que ellos
feed
están viendo algo en
once
realidad.
Josh is able to kind of
Sí.
hit that
Oh,
space. There we
ok,
go.
no se los habían puesto.
This
¿Qué
is it,
pasó,
right? This is
director
our
de
tech preview
cámara?
we're
¿Qué
looking at
pasó?
right now live.
Ahí está,
Yep,
vean
this
el
is
menú.
essentially the menu
Vean
that
el
you're
menú.
gonna get as
Ese es el
soon as
menú.
you
Dios,
boot
sigue
up.
tronando. Ahí,
So,
está explicando lo de la, lo de la
multiplayer
prueba.
academy options
Fresh.
there. If you
Review.
hit start, you can get into
Dios,
our
como
main
tiembla.
settings. And there's a few settings I think we wanna
Yeah,
show
let's
off
take a
and
look.
highlight.
Gracias, gracias de verdad
No,
por
I like
esas
settings. No one's
reacciones.
ever
Muchas
seen these
gracias.
settings in detail before, so we'll kind of take a look here. So
Ahí están los controles.
we want to
normal.
make sure, obviously, players understand. And
Eso
like,
vio
first thing you
niña.
should do if you're going to be in the tech preview this weekend, probably just kind of get acclimated, tweak your settings to your liking. Just
just make sure that things are sort of the way you want them, if you will. So
Están hablando de
I
los
think, you know,
controles, sí, de todo
I'll
lo
just
que
quickly
puedes
scroll
hacer.
through. I'm not going to
Creo que
speak to every one of
prácticamente
these.
van a
I
ser
think
los
we'll be here all
mismos
afternoon,
controles,
but
excepto por lo
I
del
think you're going to find a
gancho.
lot of sort of what you'd expect.
Van a ser los mismos controles excepto por lo del gancho. Que el gancho es nuevo. El gancho. ¡Ay! Lo del escudo. Entonces no sé qué va a haber ahí.
I'm pretty casual, so I kind of tend to just run.
Están hablando de los
default in a lot of
controles,
cases,
están
but I do
explicando.
admit that.
Yeah, I think that I've never gotten into all
Invertir
the
todas
settings,
esas
I'm
cosas.
just worried I would get myself into a state where I would just never land a shot again, or who knows, maybe I would suddenly sort of evolve to the next level.
Como tienen conectado, correcto, como tienen conectado el control a la PC, por eso solo le aparece la configuración. Si ustedes leen, en la parte de arriba donde está remarcado dice keyboard y mouse. Oh, ahí están los controles de sprint shift, jump, espacio, scroll control, o sea, agachar y eso, control. Acortarse las uñas, disparo, pues clic derecho, creo que recarga base R, esos son los controles. Lo normal, prácticamente lo normal lo normalito en cualquier juego de disparo. Cambiar de arma, el score, intersectar el E, drum box. Ese sí no está. No está ese. ¿Será que lo configura manualmente el que uno desea? Pues ahí están los controles y básicamente pues es lo mismo que un juego de disparos normales. No cambia prácticamente nada. Lógicamente lo puedes personalizar según entiendo lo que ellos están diciendo.
Cool, so a whole bunch of stuff here. This is something else that we
marcar. Vas a poder marcar a un adversario ahora. Esa es nueva.
This is also a new element to
sí. Marking es de marcar. Vas a poder marcar la posición de un enemigo. Wow. Eso. A ver, es Fortnite Apex, que fue el primero, si no mal recuerdo. Genial. Bueno. Hay que verlo todo, rechazar lo malo y tener lo bueno. Excelente.
So I'll just kind of scroll through here quickly so we don't totally get inundated in settings, but it just goes on and on and on. So let me go over here to video as well. Something else I just kind of want to point out, which by the way, I do not, that is criminal for me to be on a FOV of only 70, but
de Nvidia RTX
this has always been something Halo fans have wanted. We know, everyone knows, the FOV really does have a dynamic impact on your experience in terms of not only just your vision, but the sensation of movement and speed. All those things are greitly impacted. So, pretty awesome to me that on day one we already have a field of view slider.
¿Cuántos FPS está usando? ¿Cuántos FPS? 60 FPS. Está usando esa tarjeta a 60 FPS.
Wow. Range. I mean, we can go all the way up to 120 if you really wanted to.
Yeah, I usually like to pick it at 95 to 100.
All right, well, I'll split the difference. We'll go 95 there. But yeah, just kind of go through here. Lots of different nuanced graphical settings to really allow people to
Dios, todo lo tiene en ultra ese bárbaro. Todo lo tiene en ultra. O sea, ve preparando tu PC, mi hermano. Ve preparando tu PC. Bueno, el tipo lo tiene en ultra. Lógicamente uno lo va a poner pues a lo que se adapte a su PC siempre y cuando lo corra bien para algo.
Para algo. I thought this is pretty cool too. Being able to sort of opt in or opt out of something that we call speed lines. So when you're sprinting in the game, we have some cool visual effects that help sort of really convey that sense of increased speed. But if I don't like it, I can just turn it off.
Yeah, I think the fact we've got so many settings that are tailored so that you can fully immerse yourself, or if you're looking for a stripped down experience, if you don't want that, you can turn it off.
Same thing goes, of course, lots of audio customization here. Want to make sure people are aware of things like subtitles. You can turn those off and on if you want to. I did want to call this out as well. I know you and I were talking earlier about this, but just a little bit of a public service announcement for anyone playing this weekend in the tech preview.
Se le desconectó el control a ellos.
Your mic is just set to full open, full hot. So some people might like that, some people may not. Personally, I was kind of caught by surprise when I was saying a bunch of stuff in the game and I thought it was private. So I just wanted to pass my learnings on to you so no one gets kind of caught maybe in a precarious situation there. So yeah, a lot of different options here, including Spartan Chatter. We'll hear a little bit more of that when we roll some more footage. And then the last thing I thought would be kind of cool to really point out, we talked about this a little bit briefly in some of our blogs, but we have this new system that we're calling Friend and Foe, right? Which, in order to really support and embrace our goals and our aspirations about leaning more into player expression, and having a lot
Eso es lo que está
more ways
haciendo
to
el tipo,
customize your own
explicando
Spartan and your own Spartan
simple y
journey.
sencillamente
It just didn't really work anymore
Nada
to
más.
force everyone into a default red or blue model, right?
Right. And so
mostrar un
by
poquito de
default, we
gameplay,
have
¿sí?
red and blue
Muy
outline.
poquito de gameplay.
But for accessibility purposes, we know that various people can't see in certain shades, so we've got a wide
Color
array
del
of
enemigo.
colors that you can choose for both enemies and friends, and you can also customize the folks in your fire team to be another unique color.
Yeah, it is really flexible, really cool. I also personally being able to sort of, if I want to go old school and display a full game above someone's head, I could do that.
Oh,
Also
service
helps me
tape creo que van a
sometimes
ser
when
los
a
que se
person
van a
is
usar
trying
desde
to
la,
register
desde
friend
la
from
PC.
foe. And then, you know, I should call this out. You'll see this in the UI menu here. The theater will not be included in the tech preview, so we won't have that experience. The theater is coming back though, so and you know, event timeline.
Pero promete, el juego promete bastante. Yo lo que vi promete mucho, la verdad. Y volteo a ver acá porque acá tengo la pantalla y estaba leyendo en letras pequeñas en el transmisor. Y acá yo tengo todo grande.
Yeah. I know people who like to get, I guess, like different gameplay experience, maybe some old school games.
Eso es todas las configuraciones del juego. Este sería el menú.
So far off that they hit their mic. Sorry about that.
Ese sería el menú.
Yeah, I guess, you know,
ya
one of the
del
predominant
juego,
things here is
lenguaje,
just trying to give players
que
as
lo,
many options as possible.
el sistema puedes
to
poner
really
que
dial
si lo
in
quieres
the
en español,
experience.
en inglés, ya va a reconocerlo
Yeah,
el sistema
I mean,
por defecto.
it
En lo
is
grande,
just a
bien
set
por
of
eso,
menus. I'm really
bien por
looking
hecho
forward to
accesibilidad,
hearing people think
subtítulos
of
si tú
these
quieres,
settings
si no
and the
también.
things that they can put together to
Ok, la
customize
visibilidad, los
exactly
sensores,
how they
etcétera,
want to be.
etcétera.
Want Halo to be like the comfiest
Muy bien.
chair in your house.
I like that. All right, so let's back out of the settings. Something else I think we want to
va a haber
point
pase de
out to
batalla.
participants in the tech previews to keep an eye on
Va a
this
haber
weekend.
pase
The news feed.
de
Wow, this
batalla.
is like next-gen news. No, seriously. This is just good to keep an eye on if you're playing in the tech preview. We will probably
Ahí
use
decía
this to
Season
convey
Progress.
updates over the course of the flight.
Ahí está,
critical
Battle,
information.
Pass
If the
y
playlist
Store.
experience
Ahí está,
evolves, we'll let
ahí
people
está.
know
Voy a
if
ver
we're
si
here,
puedo
right?
manejar el
And I
mouse.
think, Sam,
Véanlo.
you wanted to
Aquí
specifically call
está.
this one out in particular, right?
Es,
so
va a haber
we've
pase de
got,
batalla.
Notification for people on PC, especially if you're using the AMD GPU. You're going to want to make sure you update to the latest driver. It is a significant performance increase.
Un driver que te
for
sea
PC
como
users.
fidelidad para que el juego se te vea belleza.
Please make sure you do that.
No
and make sure you
mostraron,
check out the news for
no mostraron
that
nada del pase de batalla. Seguro no lo tienen preparado
Well,
todavía.
Sam, I think that's all I got for you today. Any final parting words or thoughts before we jump over and dig into some customization?
No, I want to see the customization too. Thanks for having me.
Cool. Thank you, Sam. We'll be right back in just a moment. We're going to be joined by Jerry Hook here, and we're going to talk about all the things you
El
can do to
director de cámara está
customize
medio
your Spartan
perdido,
tech
sí, con
preview.
ellos. Él
Be
está
right back in
hablando.
just a moment.
Ok, vamos a ver qué viene. Creo que se viene ya la previa o algo más de gameplay. Vamos a ver qué tanto muestran o aquí termina. Vamos a ver. ¿Esto ya lo habíamos visto? O simplemente nos iban enseñando los controles, pues no tengo ningún problema porque ellos fueron específicos a la hora de invitarnos a esto. Les vamos a enseñar cómo jugar el juego. Eso es todo lo que nos dijeron, los controles, cómo configurarlo, etcétera. Y fue justo lo que ellos hablaron y enseñaron y un poco de gameplay. Lo más que creo que el gameplay duró fueron como 5 minutos. Sí, estoy exagerando. Pudo haber durado menos. Oh, eso de la bola que te pega en la granada, ahora te la vas a poder quitar. Y a mí me encanta pegar la granada azul en Halo 5. Tú pegas la granada azul y ya no tienes nada que hacer. Pues si la pegas en el pie, creo que sí se la vas a poder quitar. Vea esa parte. Nada de esto de Halo Infinity. La historia, todo es multijugador. Todo es multijugador. Hay gente que lo confunde. No se confundan, no se confundan. Okay. Estoy buscando en las prensas a ver qué nos dicen las prensas sobre esto. Ese samurái se ve delicioso, de verdad. Se ve prometedor. Ok. ¿Qué nos muestran? ¿Qué viene?
And we're back. All right.
Ok,
Thanks, everyone.
volvemos. No ha terminado. Yo pensé que ya había terminado. Y ella es una niña que tengo acá.
Preview live stream here at 343 Industries in Redmond, Washington. My next guest has just sat down next to me. Please welcome Jerry Hook,
Oh,
Jared,
va a hablar
head of
con
design.
personalidades,
Welcome,
está
how you
hablando
doing?
con personalidades de
Great.
Halo.
Really looking forward to this. It's very exciting, and we're doing
Ese
it
tipo
live.
es,
Like,
This is
could
live.
not be
es un diseñador importante ahí.
more nerve-wracking
Hey,
than
what?
doing it live.
Yo lo veo muy emocionado.
Probably
Yo veo
have
que
like
le han
5
puesto
people watching.
mucha
No pressure,
fuerza
no stress.
a
I mean,
este
it's just
Halo.
between
Yo
us, right? We're just playing some
sí
Halo,
había visto
talking about
conferencias
it.
de Xbox,
So
que
Jared, I
esto, que
think,
lo otro,
you're
pero
going to join us today. We're going to talk a
nunca
little bit
así de
about sort
emocionado
of
como
the
tú puedes
player
percibir. Como
progression,
yo estoy muy
customization side of
emocionado
the
por
game,
esa
things that kind of fall
que
under
no se
our
me
live
note.
team umbrella. Kind of from your perspective through that lens, what are you and the team
Quiero un
looking for?
micrófono a
What
los
are
que
your
tienen
kind of
también.
high-level goals?
Quiero uno
What
de
does this
esos.
tech preview mean to you?
Yeah, well, first,
Y un
let's really
mouse
talk about what a live game means to us. Like, we have so much coming into Halo that we've never had before. We're on more platforms. We're on PC. We're
Multiplataforma, lo vas a poder jugar en
free to
PC.
play for the first
Es
time.
gratis.
So that means a lot. And that has a lot of changes that go into the fundamentals. And
Y es para
part
los
of what I do as
fanáticos,
head of
para
design
nosotros,
is
para que
help
tengan
ensure
una
that
gran
everyone
conectividad.
has their best work show up in the game. And the base fundamentals we use, we have some pillars that we're using to help make sure
Es un
that
gran juego
our
para todos
players
nuestros
get the best
fanáticos.
experience possible. And the first one of those pillars is player first. And you see that primarily represented in some of our attributes, specifically that, hey, look, the time and the money that you're investing in our title are extremely important. They're job one for us. That's why you see us move the battle pass to
Va a haber,
allowing us
lo
to have that
dijo,
battle
va a
pass
haber
be
pase de
switched
batalla.
when players aren't feeling the
Va a haber pase de
100%
batalla, va a ser
commitment
opcional
to,
si
I
lo
gotta
compras
get
o no,
it
como en
now,
cualquier
right?
juego.
That's a
Vas a poder
player
jugar
first
aunque no lo compres el
the
pase de
other player
batalla.
first model that we're looking for is that our experiences, we want to delight and we want to have those experiences, grow as we move forward. The delight's pretty key there because we don't want to fall into some of the traps that you see with other free-to-play games where they just add chores or they just add things that aren't really delighting the player, but the player has to get through. And so these mentalities change fundamentally what we're doing from a Halo perspective. Next big pillar is we want to listen, we want to learn, and we want to experiment with all of you.
Vas a
as
tener
players.
lo que está diciendo en
And
sí,
this
lo
is
que pude
critical,
entender al
like
final,
Sketch.
dijo, vas a tener una
You're
gran
such a
experiencia con
critical
Halo
piece of this,
Infinity.
of listening to the community, and it's everyone out there right now is screaming about assassinations and screaming about sprint and everything else that all the various community members, they want to have a voice in the
Va a ser
in the
algo grande
hobby
para
that they
todas las
love.
comunidades.
And we're hoping to bring that to you and working with you and your team Sketch and Uni and as well as when you look at Tashin, you look at our esports communities, all of them have voices that we want to make sure that we can hear and bring into our
Para
experience.
todas aquellas personas que
The
son
next
parte de los
pillar off of
eSports.
that is our
El tipo estaba dormido, el de la
story
gorra,
that
sí,
we
se había
want
quedado
to
medio
share.
dormido.
The story is actually your story as well, and our story is going to grow even in the multiplayer side. And this is pretty critical when you take a look at what Tom French and the team
Dijo algo de la historia del juego, pero no logré entender qué fue lo que dijo.
That's your story in our universe, and we want to make sure that you have a story that continues with you. And then lastly is just for the team.
Solo
We see so many
sé que dijo que
stories
iba a ser
of
una
game development
bella
teams being
historia.
burned out and burned to a crisp.
Pero ya
And we want
sabemos
to make
que
sure that
esas
our
prensas
core pillar of
Vandal
we
y
want to be able
todas
to
esas
build a sustainable,
hobby,
predictable,
consola, level up, no, 0, 0, 0, 0. Desde ya han tachado a Back 4 Blow, el sucesor espiritual de Left 4 Dead, como más malísimo juego y eso que ni siquiera ha salido. Ustedes investiguen y se van a dar cuenta de eso solo porque va a estar en Game Pass totalmente gratis desde día 1.
Our players should be able to trust us that when we say, hey, we're going to go after, I've seen like the lists on Reddit and whatnot, right? And those lists are huge, right? And we obviously can't solve all of them on day one. In our launch, we're going to launch, and we know that we've probably made some mistakes that you're not going to like from all of you, and we're going to need to correct some of those. And some of those you're like, hey, can you make it bigger? We want to go after those as well. So that's all pretty critical. And so in this tech preview, which isn't a beta, is we're testing the technical side of it, and so
Bueno, sí, lo que yo les estaba diciendo, en este video estamos hablando de cosas técnicas, no estamos mostrando tanto gameplay, y eso es lo que dijo en esencia, eso es lo que acaba de decir él.
And Joaquin and our service team are just
están trabajando
they're on point, they're amazing, and we just need to make sure that all the technology works.
Con la mejor tecnología para traer una mejor experiencia.
And it's definitely not a full customization at all of what will be in the launch product.
Vean qué bonito. Hay el set que ellos tienen atrás, todo lo que tienen decorado. No sé si se han fijado en todo lo que tienen atrás, es parte del juego también.
Well, I think we should take a look at some of that. Speaking about my custom Spartans, I did want to just clarify one point. You're talking about spend as much as you can, buy everything.
Yeah.
Just to clarify, everyone invited to this tech preview will be granted a bunch of credits. So we're not asking anyone to spend your
La
own
gorra,
money. So
la gorra está increíble.
we won't even take your money.
Esa-
There's no way to
esa
do
cap.
it. So, but we're going to
Esa-
give you our money and ask you to spend it and just go have fun.
Yeah,
So
and remember, prices aren't none of that is final. We're just trying to get, some semblance of differences, so you as players would know what's
Yep.
better value, what's lower value.
Well, let's go back into the build here, Josh. I guess we'll go to
Vamos a
my
mostrar algo
screen,
más.
if you will, and I'm
Sí,
going to
sí,
go into
claro
the
que sí, ya lo están viendo.
customized menu
Ahí
here
está.
at
Oh,
the
los
top.
autos.
Jerry, I thought we might just kind of run
El
through a few of these
armamento.
things, and then we'll kind of just navigate through the world of customization as it exists.
Ese
in
es
this
el menú
build,
del
which, as you
juego.
already noted,
Ese
is
es el
just
menú
a
del juego. Y
subset
vean
of what
cómo
we
se
can
ve.
expect to find in the
Se
shipping
ve.
game. So I think we'll just go down the list here. People
Yeah.
are probably very eager, I
Uf.
assume. They've never seen
Vean
this, by the
esa
way.
arma
I do
desgastada,
like this
Dios
idle
mío.
animation. You let it sit
Qué
and just kind
bella.
of cycle through
Esa
some of
esta
the
H1.
sort of 3D assets.
La
Yeah.
H1 suave.
Yeah, the
It's nice.
other cool thing is you just pop into customization. You already know.
Oh,
we're doing
vean el
lot
carro de
more.
Batman.
It's
Eso lo
great
usas en
that
zona de
you're
guerra,
saying,
¿sí?
And you notice some of the
Eso se usa en
customization
zona de
going
guerra
on
más
with
que todo.
bots, and in your own hands with.
Pero sí, ese
with
traje de
your,
ese Spartan se ve
AR,
desgastado, pero qué detalles.
That's all in the game.
Ve la luz cómo le refleja.
All right, well, let's start by going in the armor hall, and then we're
Yeah.
just going to kind of quickly move through here, and then we'll kind of bounce
¿Esa
around
cuál
like you
es?
and I
¿Esa
discussed.
es
So
nueva?
armor hall, pretty
Eso no lo había
self-explanatory.
visto.
This is where I'm going to
Pero sí la
customize
vimos
my
en el
Spartan
gameplay
armor,
hace
right?
un
So
momento atrás.
right away, here we go. Now for this tech preview, because it's a subset, I'm going to have one armor core,
hay
and
que
that's going to be my
a la
Mark 7
armadura del
armor
tipo.
core. And Jerry, you and I have discussed this a little bit. Just there's been a
El
lot of
gate
questions, I
tab
think, in
es
the community
gate
since we first started talking about armor
44,
cores, right? And
48,
we demonstrated this and sort of showed it off
04,
in our
si lo
overview
quieren ir
videos and
agregando.
prior blogs. So how would you sort of best describe what is an armor core and sort of how should we think about that?
Ese
Yeah, so
equipaje.
this is one of
¿Cuándo
our
fue?
new,
Ayer,
our
ayer.
new systems.
Ayer
so
ya lo
Christopher
tenía.
Blum and Jeremy have done a really great job here creating this system. One of the things when we stepped back in design, we wanted to rethink how do we help make sure that our players are really
van a
represented as
personalizar.
characters. When you take a look at Spartan armor, it's like strapping on an F-22, or maybe you want a set of armor that is like an M1 Abrams tank.
¿Será que
right?
esa será
Each
la
one of those
armadura
vehicles is
de la
unique
primera
and has a unique
temporada?
character. The other great thing about that the thing we're trying to build is we're trying to make sure
Escuché
that the
sonido
character of
otra vez
that
como que se
armor
les
really
desconecta
comes
algo.
through. There's really no better way to show this than, hey Josh, you have one of the pictures, one of the concept pictures? Yeah. Okay. So everyone saw at the
Oh, ahí
end of
está
that
el
amazing
samurai, mi
multiplayer
niño.
trailer, the
Vean
samurai
ese
armor.
Spartan Samurai.
When we talk about strapping on a piece of armor as a unique character, I think our first fracture core, and we call these fractures
Ahí
because
está el sonido otra vez como
they're
que se le
not part of the
desconecta y
main
conecta
canon.
algo.
They're part of
¿Qué pasa?
basically side universes
343 Industry.
that you can look at. You can look at how we're trying to develop the character, and our artists have done an amazing job of really trying to represent the breadth of what we
¿Cuántos
want to look
diseños?
at
Mira que todo eso
maintaining the
tiene que ver con el
character
pase de batalla, cada
throughout the
cosilla,
entire
cada cosa
armor
que lleva a
set.
los
And more
lados,
importantly,
en las
allowing
hombreras,
that
en el pecho.
customization and you as a player
Se
saying,
podrá
hey, look,
mover
when
de
I
una
strap
forma
on
rápida.
that armor, that samurai armor tank, I want to make sure that I can make it mine. And this is the breadth in which we can really express, but stay within the character. We don't want everyone to feel like they're just all one part of a single vehicle, basically. And so then you can look at what the artists have been able to think about, and you take a look at the attachments that you're seeing there. You're seeing swords,
Entonces
you're
se
seeing,
mira.
a bandolier,
Oh, le
you're
veo
seeing
una espada.
grenades,
El
you're seeing different hit
uno
pieces,
en la
you're
fila
seeing
última, el
daggers,
tercero
you're
tiene
seeing
una
darts,
espada.
you're seeing
¿Ya se la
whole
vieron?
different
Tiene una espada
expression of
samurái.
what a samurai
El de en
could look
medio,
at,
el
could look like.
tercero de la fila
And that's pretty
tercera
critical for us
tiene
to
una
help, at least in
espada
this first impression and our first
samurái.
moment for everyone at launch. Because remember, at a live game perspective, we are expecting everyone to provide feedback, what works, what doesn't work, what do you want to see more, and that's where the game will grow as we move forward.
Yeah, this is
You can go
awesome, by
back,
the
Josh.
way. I'm super excited by the Yoroi Samurai in particular, which, by the way, we've also confirmed will be
Armas.
one of the first free
Vean
pieces of
esa.
content that players can earn
Está.
in Season 1 by just completing a free event, which is
Yeah,
very cool.
absolutely. And again, that type of completion where just playing the game and earning things is still a part of not only our DNA, but again, from a free-to-play game, we want to make sure that We provide
La
multiple avenues,
MK50,
not
ahí
just
están todas las
about
armas.
fast, but you
La
have different ways in which you'll
BR75, la
different ways in which you can
BK78.
frame things.
Yeah, right now I'm just kind of cycling
El
through the weapon
MK1, el
bench just to give,
lanzacohetes,
you know,
como
give our
mejor
viewers a sense
se
of what
conoce
that
en la
looks like.
comunidad de
So,
los
you know, if I
Halo.
were to equip weapon codings, I can check them out
Sniper,
here.
el S7,
I'm just sort of scrolling
el
through
SQ,
and giving
ese
people
es
a
nuevo
chance to
así.
see some of the
Eso también, no
weapons
recuerdo.
that we have in the game currently that they'll be able to check out. So I really love this feature.
This is so
Todo
sweet
el
because
arsenal que
every
tenemos,
time
sí.
you pick up a weapon, right, you take it off the weapon pad, it is your weapon.
Todo
And
el
it'll be
arsenal que
skinned the
tenemos
way
ahí
you
a
want it
nuestra
to.
disposición.
It'll look the way you want it
Ahorita solo estamos
to.
mostrando
It
algunas
is
cosillas,
just a
algunas
sweet,
cosillas.
sweet.
Ahora los
feeling.
vehículos.
Let's quickly jump in the vehicle bay. I mean, one quick caveat here is none of the experiences in this tech preview
No
build
está
will let
mostrando
you,
todo, está
drive
mostrando ciertas
vehicles
cosas.
this time around, but of course vehicles are an integral
El
part of
vehículo
our sandbox, huge part
tradicional,
of the experience,
puedes usar en
especially
zona
with
de
the return
guerra.
of
Este
15
vehículo más que todo
battle.
sucede allá
So
en
we're
zona
going to
de
get to
guerra.
that a little bit later this year,
No en la
but I'll
parte
just kind of give people
clasificatoria
a quick
de
glimpse here of some of the
Oh,
updated
vean el
models, some of these things we're
L808.
seeing for the first time, I believe.
Yeah, and again, for the what we're showing here from a customization perspective, you
Ah,
make this
venía
shoe.
49.
So you get to say, hey, look, no, when I drive my
M15,
Warthog or when
Raxon
I get on
back.
my Razorback with my team, I'm the driver.
La típica
I get into it
motocicleta,
first. It's going to look the
la
way
Gonza.
that
No me regalas
that
las
I
cosas.
want it to look like. And so as you continue to play and you're in the community, you're going to have different
Rack,
looks from
tac,
players and
¿Será que no se pueden usar los cañones que están arriba?
in the driver's seat.
All right,
body,
then I'm going
el
to jump down
cuerpo.
one more real quick here in the
Ahora
body
la
AI.
personalización
This one,
del-
you know, we
del
obviously have
Spartan.
a couple different body types I can choose from. I really love actually the depth that we've been able to go to now for prosthetics, right? Just
Yeah.
an additional layer
O sea, lo que
of
está haciendo
customization
en
and
tiempo
frankly,
real, sí.
inclusivity
Lo que
as
el
well.
tipo está haciendo lo
Yeah,
está haciendo
sure.
en tiempo
But, I mean,
real.
the biggest thing is just about,
Wow.
you know, from a
Wow.
philosophy perspective for player first is we want everyone to be able to represent themselves.
Cambio de colores,
You know, my
normalcito.
sisters actually does build prosthetics for a living, and this is very important. Is it's a part of your identity.
Quizás ahora tenga
It's also,
mostrar
quite
poco
frankly,
por el momento,
some of
porque
it's
no
really
quieren
cool.
quitarnos toda la-
Again, we're only
las-
showing a
o
very
sea,
small
no.
subset, so don't get lost in that. But the sheer fact
Pero
that
se
you
ve
can
mejor,
do
se ve mejor. Así
your
como lo dejó
entire
ahorita,
body
se
the
ve
way you want to from
mucho,
a prosthetic
pero mucho
perspective,
mejor.
and really make this your identity is really, really critical for us.
So personal AI is another new addition to the game. We introduced this. People heard some personal AI in the MP trailer, for example.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of people out there that became instant fans of Lulu, for example. And I think, you know, we'll talk more about this probably with Tom French in a bit, and we'll see it in action in some of our additional footage. But, you know, this is just a subset, right? So
Yeah,
there's
and it's also just the beginning. Like this is the biggest thing. We have so many things in which you can really express yourself, you know, the way you want to, and even your AI sidekick, it's yours to express. Like it's yours to make yours. And I think the cool thing is that when you see Tom talk about it, and you see the modes you're going to use it in, it really becomes a part of the personality that you bring to the field.
yeah, and you know, each AI here, for example.
Ok, eso
has
es lo
their
que
own unique
lastimosamente
voice, their
me
own
lo
personality.
perdí, pero
It's really
¿qué
fun, and then you can go one
carajos
step further if you want
es
to. and
decir,
actually
para
have
qué
in,
lo vamos a usar?
You know, a subset of colors as well. So. Personal AIs are one of my favorite additions to the
tiene
game
uno del
currently, and I
engranaje.
can't wait for players to experience more of that. And then, you know, we have one more grayed out area here, and this is where
Ok,
I'd be
eso
able
no
to
está
do stuff
habilitado
like
por
with
el
service
momento,
tag
no
and
está
all that.
habilitado.
You know, I think you've
La
alluded to there's
presentación no
more
está
coming than what's in this
habilitada.
build, so we want
Yeah.
people to stay tuned. Now I think, you know, let's quickly, I want to keep things moving here, because I know
Pero
folks are
sí,
eager,
o
we
sea,
have a lot
los
to get
detalles,
through. How about
esa
you want to
luz.
jump over to the battle pass?
Yeah,
Genial.
let's do that.
Maybe we'll switch. Josh, why don't we jump over to
creo que vamos a
Jerry?
jugar.
He'll drive us through. Let's just talk a little bit about you know, what we're designating the Season 0 battle
Ahí está,
pass,
vamos a tener un
and
pase de
sort of
batalla.
what that's going to be for
Vamos a
players in
tener
this
pase
technical preview.
de batalla
Yeah, so when we
confirmado
take
en
a look
Halo.
at ourselves learning as a
Pueden ver en
team,
los news.
the reason why we want to do Season 0 is, like the rest of our live experience, our team needs to build the muscle
Very hard.
of listening to the
Half
players,
off the
of
sound.
providing fixes, really going through, even veteran people who've worked on games, game developers, when they go through a service, every game is different, every team is different, and it takes a lot of muscle building to really get into the rhythm for your teams to be able to add to the game. And so what we hope to hear from on the technical preview side is, again, what's working for you, what's not working for you, what don't you like. Remember, the build is old, so don't
le
treat
está
it as
cayendo
if it's
algún
final
mensaje,
at
porque
all.
siempre se
So as
escucha
we go into these details, just remember, just send us your feedback. Give us the details that you want to see or improve on. And we won't, again, be because we're a few months from
ahí
launch.
está,
We're not necessarily
el
be able
pase
to
de
fix
batalla, ahí
everything
está.
to launch, but
Ahí
we'll
está,
start
vas a
adding
tener que
lists together.
completar esas
First thing I
cosas,
want to talk
etcétera,
about from a
etcétera.
battle pass perspective is our challenges. Our challenge system is the cornerstone.
Sí te da
It is the
bastante tiempo
underlying
y creo que
thing
te
in
va a
which
ir
we go.
dando
Now
las
everyone's
cosillas así,
familiar with
poco a
these.
poco.
We've done a little bit different. This is
Pero
where
en
you
qué
start
modo de
seeing
juego
the
lo vas a
first
tener que
rewards
completar.
you get outside of the pass. So we know, right? Games are a bit different today than they were back in the day. In fact, back in the day, most people only had 2 to 3 games a year that they even looked at. Today, I bet you most of your Steam libraries are much larger than that. And that means players are going from Sea of Thieves, or they're jumping over to Age of Empires, and then they're coming into Halo as well. And we want to make sure that when you sit down, you don't have to absorb an entire battle pass to say, what are my rewards? You can literally just come in, what are the challenges? I'm going to go play my games with my friends, and I'm going to get rewarded for it. That's pretty critical for us from a player first perspective. And then of course you're going to get people like me. I'm going to sometimes get sniper challenges. Now, I'm not Clutch in any way, shape, or form, or Micwin or any other pro team. I will skip that challenge. So I'll definitely probably swap that for sure. And I'll want to make sure that.
O sea, queremos saber cuánto vale. Muéstranos ese pase de batalla.
At all. So let's look at the battle pass.
Ahí está, el pase de batalla.
We're going to buy this. Is that what we're going to do?
A ver cuánto
Yeah,
vale.
we
¿Cuánto vale?
granted you. You're just like a real tech preview
Okay,
participant.
so
We have given you
pero-
some money, Jerry.
All right.
Dinero,
Good.
dinero.
I
¿Cuánto
get
vale?
paid today. Sweet. All right.
O sea, lo compraste con eso, pero
Sweet.
ok, ¿cuánto valen
Got the
esas cosas?
pass. We're ready to go.
Mostrarnos cuánto
So-
valen esas cosas con que.
As you can see, I bought it, so now you can't see the free labels. Shoot. Oh well.
Yeah, well, you're right. What we're not seeing is a smattering of objects in this pass are free, right? So
Correct.
even if someone doesn't want to opt into the optional pass in the real game, there will still be a free track and things to earn along
Yeah,
the
the
way.
main thing
Muéstrame
to think of
cuánto
from
valen
a
esas
model
cosas
that we
para
have
comprar el
is
pase de
every
batalla. Eso
tier,
es lo que
there's a
queremos
free
saber.
item and a premium item. And that means
Experiencia,
that
etcétera.
every single player, instead of having
Va a ser como un timeline
you know, most systems
normal
you
de-
have large swaths of the tiers that aren't earned unless you're premium. For us, we want you to earn every step of the way.
Okay.
And for the preview, we're only having 30 level or 20 levels.
Son
Sorry,
20.
20 levels in the preview to be able to go after. And so,
Pero solo son
obviously
viseras, lo
at
que me
launch we'll
enseñaste.
have
Solo
much
son
larger.
viseras,
We're not going to
entonces.
talk about that too much, but the great thing you're seeing here is you're seeing
No veo
customization
nada interesante en
all
ese
along the
pase de
way.
batalla.
Do you
No,
want to
seguro
go
porque
to
no-
yours?
Yeah, we
Seguro
can.
porque no
Yeah,
quieren
Josh,
mostrarle
you
el
want to jump back
verdadero
over to
pase de
mine because
batalla.
I had some development sheets enabled, so I've got everything already unlocked. Actually, Josh, switch
Lo
back
único que
over
cambió fue la
to
forma del casco y el visor.
my feed there. There we go. So now that we have that context, Jerry, of
Yeah.
kind of sort of where this
No
content's going to come from,
intentado
I'm back in the
encuestar.
armor hall. I've just kind of drilled now into this. This is what happens if I click in on my core,
Ese
right?
pase de batalla está medio chafa.
We don't need to go through all this. I know folks are probably eager to see some more gameplay. We want to talk about bots and arena as well, but you know, this is where I
Oh,
would
los
apply
colores del
like coatings,
Sparta,
for
no
example.
suele ser
Some of these
normal,
coatings I'm
ahora
going to
lo
earn. We
puedes
saw the
hacer.
Keystone coating as a
Ya he
challenge
jodido.
reward, for example. So this is just a taste of kind of what I'll be
Los
able to
cascos
do.
normales, eso lo puedes ver,
I
pero ahora
can't
te
wait
lo
to
van
see
a
how
vender. Bueno,
players
como
in
el
the
juego
tech
ahora va a
preview,
ser
you
gratis,
know,
ahora
I
te
would
van a
hope a lot
vender
of people are probably going to
los
easily hit
cascos
tier
y toda
20 and
la
max
vaina.
out.
Yeah.
You know, if not,
That's our hope.
what are you doing? You've had this long to prepare. Like, come on, you've waited for this.
It
We
should
need
just
you.
be good.
Go crazy. But yes, this is just to give you an idea.
Todo
As I unlock my content for the
Las
core, this is
pecheras.
where I'm going to go in and be able to customize that.
Yeah.
And
Las
I mentioned
hombreras
this the
también
other
se
day,
ven
but funny
geniales.
fact, someone pointed out to me that if you want to, I think
A
for the
medida que la
first time in a
creatividad
Halo game,
del
you can have no
343 vaya
shoulder pads.
despertando,
But,
vas a poder ir
you know,
viendo
hey, if that's your
nuevas
fancy,
cosas
go for it.
bellas.
So lots of different options here, and
Yeah, and this is like you're not seeing things in here like armor
Las
effects
rodilleras.
or other categories that we have listed here. For the tech preview, it's really
No
small.
sé qué tanto detalle le
so we
pusieron a
try
lo
to
de la
keep
mano
it
que no sé si
basically
quién
the
se va a tomar el
baseline.
tiempo. Te estoy disparando, pero enséñame la
Actually,
mano
let's
antes.
talk about armor kick for a little bit. That's
yeah,
a
what is
brand new
because this
concept.
I don't think this is really fully supported in this build though.
Yeah, so when we talk about specifically from a pillar perspective of continuing
Todo lo
that
que estamos
story,
viendo lo está
the armor
corriendo
kit
desde
kinda
una PC.
represents a bunch of that story.
Una PC es lo que lo
And so
está
when you see the
ejecutando.
season, and when we say story, we mean the continuing story of the universe from after you, when you're in campaign as Master Chief, what are the rest of the Spartans doing? You are a Spartan, and so your story belongs here too. But it's also a place in which you can show iconic characters within the Halo universe.
¿Va a haber
And so a
conexión?
kit, for example, you might get, I don't know, George or Emil, and That is an entire kit unto
Sí me
itself.
interesaría
So
saber
you
cuánto
wanna,
va a costar
like,
ese
you
pase
actually
de
want to go
batalla,
fly the,
económicamente
you know,
hablando en efectivo
do
y
your
en
battles
dinero
on the
real.
battlefield like George.
¿Cuánto?
That's where you would go.
¿Ya
To
viste
get
una
that kit.
maldita vez?
Well, Jerry, this is just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
I think
This
there's
is
still a ton
Mark
of fun content in here
6.
for insiders this weekend to experiment with, unlock, explore. I do want to just reiterate as well, we've said this prior.
Todo lo
but,
que decía la
this is
previa
just a
es
test,
lo que
so
ellos
nothing
están
that people
haciendo.
buy or
Detalles
unlock
técnicos
during
del
this will
juego
carry
y todo
over
lo
to
que
the
ellos han
final game.
mostrado.
We're going to wipe the slate
Gameplay,
clean. And as
poquito al
Jerry
principio.
noted, you know, just
Y
looking for
hablaron,
your feedback. We'll
hablaron.
have
Ellos
information
hablaron
on Waypoint,
bastante
by the
en
way,
el
as well
gameplay
as in your flight
de
invitation
ahora.
that lets you know where to go and how to give that
Mostrando,
feedback.
diciendo cosas de
And, you know, the
que ver
team
con
wanted me
las
to also
armas,
just give a
estrategia.
shout out and let people
Varias
know
cosas que
that
sí me
a
llamaron la
lot of
atención que
polished
son muy
work is still
buenas
happening.
e
So,
innovadoras
you
dentro
know,
del juego. Lo que
everything
no vi
from
fue
how
lo del
things look and
gancho.
are presented.
Quería ver lo del
We're not
gancho y
done
no lo
yet,
vi.
so, you know, I want to make sure we're giving credit to all the hard work that's still being done and will continue up until launch this holiday. Jerry, any final parting thoughts or words you want to leave to us before we jump over and bring Tom in?
No, I mean, enjoy your time. And, you know, as you said, Sketch, like, this is a few months old, and we have a long way to go from
Que
where we're
revisemos
at
el
actually
correo.
playing and what you're seeing. But please
A ver mi correo.
go test everybody.
Lo que tengo en mi
like, play
correo, amigos, es algo de
everything so that we can make
Minecraft.
sure that we have the tech ready for you,
Nada más. Solo
when-
tengo
when
algo
we
de
launch.
Minecraft en mi correo.
Awesome. Well, cool. Thanks
Nada
again, Jerry.
más.
Happy to have you here. We're going to take in one more quick break. We're going to bring in Tom French and the multiplayer team.
Van a
We're going
tomarse
to
un
talk about
momento
some bots.
para
We're
que el
going to
tipo
jump
salga y
in, do a
luego
weapon
van a
drill or
volver
two,
con
and
más.
talk about the Academy. And then we'll take a look at a
Faltan
match that we
más
recorded on
cosas.
Xbox Series X. We'll be back in just a moment.
Falta más, dice.
A new day is
Ah, van a estar, ese es el video que van a estar
a
usando para
new
ir para abajo.
generation built to fight. Together, we are unstoppable.
Ya, subir al aire porque hace frío. Ahí está. Subirle con mi espadita de One Piece. El canal. Ahí, mero. Ya me dio calor en la cara. ¿Qué les ha parecido hasta acá lo que han ido mostrando? De la parte técnica del juego. Y lo que han ido pudiendo entender, ¿verdad? Más que todos. Se trata de entender un poco lo que ellos están hablando. ¿Qué les ha parecido? Gracias a las personas que han compartido y a los que le han dado me gusta. No olviden quedarse con nosotros, suscríbanse a nuestra página. Y si pueden también a nuestro canal donde subimos noticias interesantes del mundo de Halo.
Let's do some damage.
Ese gancho es el que yo quiero ver. Se lo quiero ver en acción.
Claim the enemy flag.
Enemy
Return
flag.
to base.
¿Vieron ese tanque cómo explotó ahí? Es ahí que hasta uno lo empieza a ver cuando lo pone más cuidado. Les recuerdo que no ha terminado, esta vaina continúa y no sé qué hora va a terminar. No sé si va a durar una hora, pero lo que nos han mostrado me ha gustado. Y no porque sea fanático de Halo, sino porque han venido a decir y a hacer las cosas que ya habían prometido. Voy a abrir la tienda de Xbox a ver si ya está Halo. Esa sería la bola, ¿verdad? La calavera sería la bola. Oh, una nueva granada. ¡La espada! Esa muralla está sabrosa y al rato lo repito. Free to play, señores. Eso es lo que a muchos les está ardiendo. A muchos, porque ninguna compañía nos ha tratado tan bien como Xbox. A ver.
Okay, welcome back again after that brief break. This
Después de
is
este
still
break, vamos
our
con
Halo
más.
Infinite Tech Preview live stream here from Redmond, Washington. I'm Sketch. And now I want to welcome Tom French. Tom, welcome, Associate Creative Director.
El tipo está presentando a la gente más importante dentro del mundo de Xbox.
I miss being in
Los
this space,
tipos
so
que
it's good to kind of just hang out. I kind of want to give you a big hug.
Jefe
I
de
know, right?
departamento.
It's the closest, this
Ah,
whole process, I
director
haven't come this
creativo
close to as a
asociado
human
del
being in a long time. It feels weird.
multijugador.
It's
Ese es el
Well, it's
tipo
good to
que
have you
viene.
here. I feel like this has been, I mean, this has literally been years in the making, safe to say.
Yes, that is very safe to say.
Well, we're going to talk a little bit about multiplayer, which is obviously sort of the key focus for the tech preview.
Mira la camisa
So
que
much
es del
like I've
tipo,
talked
¿sí?
to Sam
La
and
camisa
Jerry
negra.
about, I thought we might just open up with
Algo
kind of
raro
giving
le
you a
pasa en el
chance
logo al
to,
tipo
from
que
your
tiene
perspective and
el
your team,
pelo y toda la
how are
vaina,
you
un-
thinking about the
imagina
tech
un Spartan
preview?
así con
Kind of what
pelo,
are your goals? What would you
con la
like our
barba,
audience to
así
know
toda rara.
from your side of things?
Yeah, I mean, I think Jerry and Sam kind of hit a lot of it on the head. Really, it's the focus isn't about like kind of fair, balanced arena starts. It's really about a tech preview. We need to get a lot of data. There's a lot of PC data we need to do. Now that we're not like just, you know, single console focus, there's a lot of information we need to really strengthen up our back end before we launch this game. To really just make sure everything's strong for the fans when we go live.
Yeah, and a lot of work obviously still happening. We've kind of covered that. Now, you know, I think we've got a couple, I think safe to say we have sort of 2 signature content sort of buckets, features, if you will, of this tech preview, right? We've got an Academy experience, which I think we're going to talk about here first, and then we're going to move on to bots from that. So let's start by the Academy. We teased this a little bit. I think folks learned about it for the first time in our overview video last month. So from your perspective, you know, what's the Academy all about? Where did it come from? What's the idea behind it?
I'm really proud of the Academy concept, Wake. When we started the journey to, you know, what was going to become Halo Infinite, we needed, I don't know if you know this, but when you go to play multiplayer, it's intimidating to a lot of people. And so we needed to kind of create a ramp for how players get there and kind of smooth that out along the way. And so we thought about, like, what are the obstacles that players have to do? And so the Academy is broken into like 3 core parts and then kind of a 4th extension to that. But the first part is a tutorial where we teach you the fundamentals of the game. We'll introduce you to the kind of the canon around the MP Spartan and what is the player Spartan's purpose in the greater universe. And then the next step after that, we have weapon drills, which we'll get to play with and talk about today, which is cool. And those are really about kind of just giving you a chance to put your hands on a gun in very simple settings, really just kind of mono-focused, right? And just really focus on how that gun performs and learn. And there's different skill levels, which we'll get to see a little bit. And then the third part is the what we call the training mode, which lets you play arena matches, basically, or arena slayer inside of all of our arena maps. And lets you run around and you can configure the difficulty of the bots, you can configure your loadouts, you can configure, I don't know, there's just a bunch of tuning knobs to let you really kind of soften the experience. And then the next step I would say beyond that is once you kind of get comfortable in there is we have 4v bot matches. So we have 4 players. Halo is a team-centric game, and so we want players to learn how to play together kind of first and foremost, and you do that against bots before they kind of start getting headshots across the map.
Well, you mentioned weapon drills, which is the sort of the slice of the Academy that we're including in the tech preview today. I think we should jump into a weapon drill or two. I'm sure our viewers would love to check that out firsthand. I mean, Tom, if you're willing, I maybe put you on the spot here. I mean,
you can see how much I suck.
I can embarrass myself. I mean, you know what?
Why don't we trade off?
Why don't we each do it, right? So I'm happy to go first, Josh. If you want to jump back over to my POV here, I've already kind of jumped into the Academy menu. I'm presented with an option for weapon drills. You know, I did want to point out this is not the entirety of our sandbox, right?
Nope,
this
it's
is
what's in the flight. Basically.
It's a slice, right? Yep. So I would expect more weapon drills. So, you know, I think. I don't know like what fans would be most interested in seeing. I'm going to guess they probably don't need to see an AR weapon drill, right? So let's do something a little more exotic. Now, I might do this because this is one of my personal favorite new additions to the game. This thing is a beast. It sounds awesome. It feels awesome. And real quick, Tom, how would you want viewers to understand sort of, I got 3 options here for my weapon drill.
So there's 3 tiers of weapon drills, and the basic one is static bots, and they'll just stand there, kind of just let you get the hands on the gun, right? Shoot the basic targets, and we'll score you on your performance and kind of give you a grade so you understand how well you're using with that gun. The next tier, they're kind of on more just like kind of simple paths or crouching behind cover and things like that to kind of show you how to use the weapon, get you to move to that next tier of how do you track a target across the screen. And then the third tier is more, they actually are doing combat behaviors. They're not firing back at you, but they're running around and they're ducking and they're a lot less predictable. So they're kind of harder to track. They're kind of using more of the actual bot behaviors and mentality. So
I guess I'll split the difference and go, I'll go like a tier 2 here, right? Okay. I mean, don't judge.
Let's see how you score.
Don't judge. There's a lot of pressure here. And I mean, safe to say there's been a lot of internal trash talking as well, right?
Yeah, we trash talk a lot, especially about scores. Like, I mean, you know, we're a competitive team at our core, so that's what you have to do.
You know, and speaking of, too, I think there is a cool, not only is this a learning module in a lot of ways, but there is a competitive angle to it. And, you know, I think safe to say down the road, the team's thinking about possibility of things like leaderboards and kind of how do we really bring that gamification and competitive element to this.
Yeah, that was something that we really wanted in the core design, and just, you know, it just didn't fit into the schedule. So we're just building this kind of as a platform for how we can add more of our content.
Okay, here we go. Right. Not doing good. By the way, that's something our fans noticed right there. We have damage per sort of location-specific visual indicators on damage, right?
Yeah, it's actually really helpful, right? It really helps just that pop where you're hitting.
Look at that! I choked right there. Now, are you Are you a feather the trigger person with this weapon, or do you just sort of pray and spray?
I'll just be honest, I'm hot garbage with this gun. That's first and foremost my problem. I'm trying to get better with it. I kind of use it as like an automatic, but when I'm kind of at range, I'll switch to kind of the feathering. Oh man, that pillar got in your way.
That was not a great performance. 2-star. I mean, I think there is a bonus for like a quick reaction, right? Like if I were to quickly zoom in on the target right when it appears, I think I might get an extra.
I think there's extra little bonus points, a little twist around.
All right, I want to put you on the spot now. We're going to switch over to your point of view. So first of all, going for the controller, right? Because we support mouse and keyboard or controller, doesn't matter.
I'm a controller guy.
Whatever suits your fancy. Tom, I am hearing from our friends over here in the room that it sounds like chat is unsurprisingly very interested in seeing the BR.
I think that's expected. Let's bring up the BR. Let's see how. I mean, I'm okay with this.
I do like where you're going with the more exotic weapons, though. So maybe we just kind of break the rules and squeeze in a third game.
We'll squeeze in another one. I'll try to go the third tier, so people can see kind of the different behaviors. And so you see there were kind of more bouncing targets in what you were doing. So you'll see this. They should take a little more cover and stuff. But yeah, obviously a fan favorite weapon. I'm really nervous how well it's going to score.
Well, at least we're picking different weapons, so we're not really like we can't really compare each other against each other, right? So.
Yeah, people are already making fun of me in the stream. I can see it, or imagine at least. I'm really terrible about managing my reloads. I'm like an incessant reloader. Let's see there. I probably shouldn't have reloaded right there.
Well, when you're missing shots like you and I do, it makes it a little hard to be predictable on that reload.
I know. I really feel like it's part of my job to get better at this, and I'm trying, and I am getting better. I'm a little more better at like BTB is kind of you can see they're kind of dancing around a little bit. They're strafing more. They're not just bounce patterns. I'm hitting headshots at least.
Yeah. You almost got this.
Crap reload.
Adios.
Time's up. I think that's a pretty good score. Well, it's a new high score compared to whoever else played.
I think nobody. So all right. Yeah. So I hit tier 2. So rank 2. So yeah. So you can see like we're trying to kind of give you some grading so you can understand your skill level and like how you can get better, or a little bit like kind of encouraging you to get better, so you can understand where you're moving.
All right. I think we're getting a request. Let's maybe take at least one more. You want to play one more since you're already in? Why don't you do it?
Okay, I'll do it.
So I'm hearing that there's a lot of interest in the heat wave. This is I don't think we've really seen or shown this really to date. So this is obviously new and exciting. A little bit unconventional, right? A little bit different.
Yeah, it's different. I mean, it has an alt fire, which is cool. It's something that's kind of new to Halo. I know Quinn and his team was really proud of that. And kind of how do we introducing this kind of concept into the game, and how can we use this kind of more in the game. This weapon's really fun, and the two alt modes, or the two modes, are basically vertical and horizontal fire. Can't remember how this drill performs. So see, one of the things cool about the drills is they're trying to do behaviors that actually encourage you to use the weapon correctly. So like these two were bouncing near each other, and so you can get a more optimal like kind of horizontal shot.
Yeah, and I know folks notice it's pretty nuanced there, but I think you're using your left trigger to sort of swap between those two different
the two modes,
right?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, get together, boys. Thank you.
And this will penetrate, right? So you can line guys up and just take them all.
Oh, very cool. Last shot sucked. There we go. Oh. I'm definitely not managing my reload. I feel like I have more time in the game, right? Like when you're in a match, like hide behind cover, but this is definitely that like kind of stressful, which is in a good way. Like it helps you get better by going through the repetitions and the drills.
Well, the world watching doesn't probably help.
Yeah, it doesn't help.
El mapa se parece, el mapa que tiene al lado derecho se parece al de Halo 1.
We're fine. That's all right. We ran the ESRB up. We're good. We're good.
I can't help it.
Content may not be suitable for all audiences. Look at you, man. You're sandbagging us here. 3-star. You're a master. So
maybe
that's
we haven't tuned those scores yet, so
we're not going to go through every weapon drill, but when the tech build goes out tomorrow, the weapon drills will be available right away. So you folks that are in the flight can play to their heart's content all weekend long. We encourage you to do that, and I want to see people kind of see if you can beat Tom's score. There you go. Let's throw the gauntlet out.
Yeah, please. I mean, please beat my score. If you don't, I'll be disappointed.
So, Tom, obviously, we talked a little bit about bots as it relates to the Academy experience that we just saw.
Vamos a ver cómo les va.
Kind of the other signature.
A ver qué pueden traerle.
So, before we get into the specifics, bots are brand new to Halo. Like, what do you want the world to know about bots? What's cool about them? Why are you excited about them?
I'm really excited about bots because, again, like, playing multiplayer in Halo is a scary thing, and so it gives players like we have this kind of notion of safe and being able to play safe and offline in the training mode and things like that. And so having bots to really reflect kind of player behaviors is a big goal of ours. And so actually our bots don't cheat. I'm really proud of the work.
Bueno, lo que ha mostrado el multijugador ha sido bueno, y lo que ha mostrado de academia ha sido también interesante, donde vas a poder probar las armas, vas a poder ver, o sea, más que todo creo que para aquellos jugadores que van a tener por primera vez su experiencia dentro del mundo del multijugador de Halo, va a ser muy bueno para ellos, de verdad, muy bueno, muy acertado lo que la gente de Halo Infinity o lo de 343 Industry están haciendo para su comunidad, de presentar todo esto para que la gente pruebe las diferentes armas y las diferentes cosas que están ahí dentro del mundo del multijugador.
My understanding is we want to kind of ease people into the experience this weekend, so they'll be able to jump online, and I think sort of it's our second lowest skill level bots to start with, right?
Yeah, we have in the game we'll have 4 different tiers of bots. There's recruit, and then there's marine, there's ODST and Spartan. And like we're gonna start with the marine level, which is basically kind of like a silver level.
Tanto que tienen ni se acuerda, tantas cosas que tienen el juego ni se acuerda, no puede.
The Spartan is I'm losing my words right now. But they are obviously the higher difficulty level. But we're trying to get like really just they're the plat level. I don't know why I'm thinking that. But yeah, so we're trying to just really kind of ramp it up. We want to let players play against the different spots so we can see the different kind of how players perform against them. We know they're not gonna like they're not shotsy. They're not gonna like just dong on you like immediately, even when we get to our highest level. They really
Estoy enamorado de los mouse pack que tienen ahí.
Yeah, and I think my understanding is too that we want to get focused testing and data and sort of feedback on each of those sort of bot. You just mentioned the bot sort of skill levels. So if, for example, we get enough engagement and the collective community slays enough bots after we go live on Thursday,
creo que sí ya está terminando.
Cool, you guys have passed phase 1 now, right? So then we're going to kick off and escalate and sort of raise the difficulty up and introduce.
Que hagamos crecer la comunidad de Halo.
Our hope and expectation is that everyone out there is playing so much, we're getting all the data that we need, and we're just going to keep ratcheting it up with the goal of let's hope by Sunday we've got Spartan bots out there, and we'll really see how some players can stack up to that. And I believe we're also going to kind of gradually introduce maps in a similar fashion. So the big message there, I think, for tech preview participants is we need you to play a lot and
que podamos disfrutar la previa al máximo de que vamos a tener mañana.
I also wanted to shout out that we're going to be keeping an eye on our stats on the back end and looking to do a little celebratory shout outs on the Halo Twitter account. So each day we're going to be looking for which player has slayed the most bots.
Me gusta la escenografía que usaron.
And also, I think, kind of interesting,
todo militar,
which team has been able to get 50 slays and win their game against bots the fastest. And what's really cool and a twist here, we're going to track all that. We'll shout you out on our social channels. But when this game launches this holiday, we're going to capture your gamer tags now and be able to grant. You'll be the first ever recipients of one of our sort of exclusive emblems, nameplates rather, for the Fire Unicorn, which has been sort of something that we've had throughout Halo 5, a little bit in MCC as well. So pretty cool. We're able to kind of start that muscle now a little bit.
Yeah.
So bragging rights, high stakes, slay a lot of bots, play a lot, but don't slouch because these bots mean business, especially by the time we get to Sunday. So Tom, the last thing I kind of wanted to switch into as well, speaking of evolving experience, we're thinking about possibly turning on some classic Slayer Arena, I believe, as well at the end of the weekend, correct?
Yeah, so I mean, I think, the intent is we're going to start with live fire with the map, which is one of our arena maps, and then we'll go into recharge, or we'll add recharge, and then we'll add Bazaar, which is set in Mombasa. Actually, I really want people, especially our fans, to really look around that map. There's some kind of nerdy lore things in there that are super cool. But yeah, then the intent is at the very end we can unlock basically a chance to play some 4v4. There's a bug in there right now where sometimes you won't match at 4v4. You can get a 3v4 match. We should backfill somebody into that match, hopefully, generally within a minute or so. It depends on obviously matchmaking and population times at that point. But yeah, so it should balance out. Again, it's not going to give you that full fair core competitive Halo start, but it will give players at least a first chance at hands on stick to kind of put sights on another player.
For sure, and I just kind of wanted to reemphasize, our number one priority is the bot experience, and it's getting all the data that involves. Because I don't think we mentioned this, but even just from the dedicated server's perspective, a bot match kind of taxes the servers and uses resources differently than a traditional PvP match, right? So it is important to us that we load test that.
Yeah, the bots are actually, I mean, they're running on the servers, and so they're actually putting weight on the servers. And then, it literally, because it's 4v4, 4 players versus 4 bots, you're going to spin up twice as many servers, and so kind of testing scale and stuff like that at that time as well.
As long as we hit these gates and sort of checkpoints over the course of each day, we could have quite a bit of fun here at the end of Sunday night. But I did want to reiterate what Tom pointed out. We are aware the experience does have some rough edges, but as long as you're willing to sort of put up with that, we'd love to jump in and be able to have that fun with you as well. So, Tom, I think the last thing that we're going to jump into here in a minute is we have one more gameplay footage. We have a full match we recorded. Before we do that, though, I have a couple other things I think I just want to rattle off. One, split screen comes up a lot. It's a big part of the Halo multiplayer experience. I did just want to call out that is not supported in the tech preview. It is still something that is important to multiplayer for launch, obviously, but in the tech preview, will not be supported. So I think honestly, I believe you could even split screen in with your buddy on your couch, but then you can't load into the playlist together. So I just wanted to call that out in case folks get stuck in that situation. Something else that I just thought while you're here we could just chat about. I could ask you. Folks started asking this question as we showed off some of our MP content last month, and they're obviously going to sort of get the experience firsthand starting tomorrow, and that's about assassinations. We saw a couple moments in the trailer where we saw some clutch back smacks that probably would have been an assassination. Folks have asked us, are they in, are they out, what's going on with assassinations? So what's the scoop there?
So they're not in for launch, and I think we're just going to be straight about that, right? Like, we actually really love assassinations, and I remember being at an HCS tournament with Quinn Del Hoyo, our sandbox lead, right when I took my gig, and we were watching a match, and somebody went to backsmack somebody, and they had assassinations enabled on accident because they turned them off, right? And they got this amazing assassination. It was a super hype moment in the crowd. But what happens at a lot of levels is people just turn them off because there's a gameplay disadvantage of it. And so one of the things we really wanted to do is take a step back and how do we think about how do these fit into infinite gameplay loops? And so one of the things that Quinn and I keep talking about is like when we bring them back, we want them to be back and fit right into our sandbox and the loops of the game and bring them back in a way that really just feels meaningful so they're always an accessible tool, but also kind of a flourish moment that people have.
Yeah, so we talk about this a lot. Launch is only the beginning. Jerry alluded to kind of what it means to be a live service and those opportunities that it brings. This is a perfect example of something that I know is already on the team's radar, and I can't wait to. It's something to look forward to, and I can't wait to see how bots evolve and eventually, assassinations evolve. Bots will evolve too, right? No, you're right. Getting assassinated by a recruit bot would be I think you have to resign at that point if that were to happen.
I think we delete
right?
your profile at that point.
So I think one more thing we're going to show today, I know people have still been clamoring for we just want to see a full match. Just show us a match end to end. So we have that here today. We're going to do that right now just to kind of tee this up. I believe this was recorded last week or so. This is Xbox Series X gameplay just directly out of the console. These are not bots in play. This is a 4v4 Slayer on Livefire. Yep. I think a few members of our pro team mixed in with a couple members of the studio at large. Kind of to your point, right now for this focus, we're not trying to sort of telegraph this is the competitive side of our game.
Exactly.
So this is about social, it's about fun, it's about learning and kind of evolving. So no one should read too much into that, right?
Yeah, this is not your BR starts really curated level. This is kind of more what we call internally our pub experience or our non-ranked experience. And so this is more of the quick play option that people will be seeing.
Well, let's roll that, Josh, if you got it ready. And, Tom, if you want to we can kind of provide some commentary along the way. We're not going to try to cast this or anything. I'm sure folks are just eager to soak it in.
I get Bravo to yell at me later if I do.
It's about 7 to 8 minutes, I think, end to end. But this is a full match of 4v4 Slayer, Halo Infinite, in our tech preview version of this build.
Va a haber pase de batalla, mis niños. Ok, eso es gameplay.
Right, yeah, I think this
is gameplay.
This is a pro team POV.
Well, let's see how
gameplay puro y duro. Ok, vean los enemigos. Ya no son rojos ni azules, sino que tienen el color que ellos quieran, solo que hay una sombra que los está remarcando. Hay una sombra que los remarca como enemigos. El mapa de abajo es el tradicional. Uf, ¿qué es eso? El gancho del infierno. Ah, le acabamos de ver, pero es hermano. ¿Los va a matar a los dos? Ah, ya le dieron piso. Ya le dieron piso, ¿sí?
Also notice that player went straight for the power weapon.
Ok, ahí va.
Slayer, which is,
wow. Qué bien cuidado se ve ese mapa, ¿sí? Se ve bien.
I mean, so you can see the friend foe. That's one of the obvious things you're looking
Se ve bien cuidado ese mapa.
earlier. It's something that we've continued to kind of iterate and evolve. Even
Ahí cargó el escudo.
I think this might be our main. Power weapon.
Corre, corre. Entre más le disparas a tu enemigo, más rojo se pone. Lo que sí veo que los mapas son pequeños. Son pequeños, son pequeños. Rápido le dio la vuelta y rápido me volvió a posicionar en el, pues en el mismo lugar. O sea, hay balas, hay armas por todos lados, ¿sí? Esa arma verde es criminal. No me recuerdo cómo se llama, pero es criminal. Te agarra y hasta ahí llegaste, Claudio. O sea, es lo que te digo, mira. Los enemigos son rojos, pero no rojo toda la armadura, sino algo fosforescente. Y tu compañero es azul, pero si notas el color de su armadura, lo que él tiene. Adiós. Z44 sí muere, sí muere. Oh, fue el que lo mató. Pero ese mapa es pequeño. Y tengan cuidado con ese montón de señuelos. Oh, invisibilidad. Adiós. El gancho no lo veo que lo están usando. No veo el gancho que lo están usando. No sé si se va a poder usar acá en arenas, porque creo que están jugando arena, o solo se va a poder usar en Warzone. Porque Halo tiene un modo que se llama Warzone, si no sabía. Bueno, Halo 5, para ser exacto. O zona de guerra.
Like a contrail behind them. Yeah, that was a big thing, is making sure we at least telegraph that information.
Qué inteligente. O sea, hay que ser inteligente para hacer esa jugada.
Making sure that there was at least a readability to it in the gameplay.
Ahí cargó sus escudos. Me encanta eso.
Yeah, you make a lot of choices that way. Like I sometimes will pocket it and think I'm being cocky, and then I'll lose it.
¡Oh!
Give, like, overshow, that was a dope.
Dios. Es como que fue un sniper. Adiós.
You know, super risky at that point.
We're seeing a couple of little sort of, what do we call those, tutorial tips popping up there, which you can turn off in the settings.
Yeah, you can turn them off, but on they're death tips is what we call them.
Las armas están pegadas en la pared, qué interesante. ¿Será que puedes comprar armas ahí como estilo Call of Duty en el modo zombie?
I'm not sure at this point the pro team needs to know that, like, hey.
Eso es puro gameplay, señores. Esto es gameplay real. Sí, gameplay real. Tienes que matar 50. Ese es un modo clasificatorio. Esto es un modo arena. Tienes que matar a 50. El típico modo de 50.
Yeah, the pelicans flying by. It's it's an homage to Sergeant Johnson, Sergeant Avery Johnson.
Ajá, y el jump, el asesinato no lo hizo. ¿Por qué no lo hizo?
Pay homage to, like, you know, one of ours and everybody's favorite character in the side of the Halo canon.
By the way,
salta, salta.
This player is just
rápido, ya sabes por dónde va a salir a la derecha, a la izquierda y todos lados por dónde ir. Ya sabes dónde está la invisibilidad, ya sabes dónde hay muchas cosas, porque el mapa es pequeño y te da la oportunidad de poder verlo. Mira el enemigo, mira el enemigo. Hasta ese momento nadie ha hecho un ninja o algo así por el estilo. Qué bien la animación de cargar el arma. De verdad, qué bien esa animación. Puedes cubrirte, wow.
Yeah, right
it's in the background, right? Yep. What's cool about them is, like, you know, before you might run past
va ganando el equipo azul, señores. Ahí vean a su compañero, tiene algo fosforescente. ¿Sí? Que lo vas a identificar, o sea, va a estar increíble. Me emociona mucho, ya quiero probarlo, la verdad. A ver. Ya dejaron de hablar los tipos, por fin. ¿Dónde es? ¡Ah! Doble muerte. Muerte triple.
I do love the sidekick.
It's really cool, and like when somebody's really good with it, it's
really threatening. ¿Qué cantidad de armas hay ahí?
This player really likes to do like drop wall kind of
covering a
technique.
post.
Ah!
Like kind of locking down an entryway so they can watch their back. It's neat to watch how people use these, like all the different equipments in different ways.
Esto promete, mis niños.
Well,
Esto
hopefully a lot of
promete.
players this
Promete
weekend are
mucho.
gonna be, lighting this up on
Halo
social,
es
sharing
uno de
clips
los
with us, 'cause I
multijugadores
can't wait to
más
see just some of the new
potentes que
creative
hay.
ways that the community at large figures out how to use this new sandbox.
Adiós.
Yeah, and it's interesting too. Like, I mean, like the way
¿Cómo
we
lo
have our maps
destrozó con
in
esa
our
arma?
main build is they have different equipment and stuff on them, and because we don't have the entire sandbox in the flights, as we swap things out, so it's actually not even the same kind of.
Adiós. Una espesora de dispersión.
That we would have in the release version of the game, but we, you know, it just at least gives us something so we can get something in there for people to play with.
Ok. Ahorita sí nos han mostrado más gameplay que demostraron anteriormente, ¿sí? Más gameplay. Y todo está muy bien cuidado. No he visto error. No he visto nada de eso.
A cool story about how we got to basically getting the music in the game. But it really meets this tone. It's something I've really wanted since Halo 4.
Salta.
This kind of post-rock soundtrack to the multiplayer. Well, actually just a Halo
¡Oh!
game.
¡Oh!
One of my goals.
¡Te mataron con granada, hermano! Mal, mal. Están a una muerte los azules para la victoria. Oh, ahí se usaron el campo como que fuese un escudo. Sí lo usaron. Vea esa granada, la potencia que tiene. Es devastadora, mis niñas. Están a una muerte los azules para ganar. Y no lo han hecho. Ya lo hicieron, ya lo hicieron, ya lo hicieron.
Yes, there we go. There we go.
Ok.
Yeah, that was actually me playing.
Eso estaba en vivo. No era algo grabado, lo estaban viendo en vivo. Alguien ya lo está jugando. Gracias por compartir. Alguien ya lo estaba jugando. Gracias por esos pulgares arriba. Alguien ya lo está jugando y yo no todavía. Creo que acá llegamos al final de la transmisión. Creo que hasta aquí llega lo que ellos tenían que mostrarnos, 1 hora 15 minutos prácticamente.
We'll bring that later. Tom, any kind of final words or parting thoughts you'd like to share before we wrap this up today?
I mean, mainly I'm just really excited to finally get to put this game in people's hands. And even though it's just a tech
Tienen
preview,
muchas expectativas, dice, para ese juego. Están muy alegres, muy contentos. Han trabajado. Y solo recordarles que tiene pase de batalla.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming. We're super excited. I'll be playing all weekend as well. We'll be online playing, watching. You know, just wanted to go through a couple quick things right after this broadcast is over. If you want to head to HaloWaypoint.com, we have an updated blog that'll go out.
Que vayan a Halo Waypoint para poder registrarse, para que puedan formar parte del juego. Eso es lo que está diciendo, tipo.
Also, just wanted to mention that we're also going to be flighting our next version of Halo Waypoint. So on app and web, we call it Waypoint V Next here internally. That actually will be included in this tech preview.
A ver, ya rato dijo que realizaron los correos. Bueno, no sé si es que a mí no me ha llegado nada.
You can sort of experiment with your customization, challenges. That functionality will be working during the flight. Encourage folks to check that out as well. And as a reminder, if you want to be a part of this and an opportunity to play future tech previews and flights of this nature,
lo que decía ya rato es que si no fuiste seleccionado esta vez, vas a poder ser seleccionado más adelante. Y no pierdas las esperanzas. No importa si tienes PC o consola, dice, vas a ser seleccionado.
Because next time we're going to go bigger, we need even more people. We got to go larger scale because we still have a couple steps to go between now and launch this holiday. And lastly, just want to say thank you to everyone.
Gracias.
To the community, we really appreciate your feedback, your passion through the years. We know you've been eagerly awaiting this moment as much as we have. The Insider Group in particular, huge part of our MCC project to bring that game, update it, improve it, bring it over to PC. That wouldn't have happened without the Halo Insider feedback and flighting program. And we can't wait to bring that
que vean el programa de Halo Insight para que se puedan registrar. Bueno, sigue repitiendo lo mismo.
The best game possible to Infinite. So I want to thank you in advance for your time this weekend, being a part of this tech preview. And that's all we got. So share us your clips online. Head to Halo Waypoint for more information. And we'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.
Gracias por ver y el abrazo de amigos. Bueno, ahí terminó todo lo que tenía que ver con la presentación de Halo Infinity. ¿Qué les ha parecido? A mí me ha parecido muy bien. Y quiero mostrarles... ¡Ay! Quiero mostrarles esto, mis niños. ¿Qué les parece esto que acaba de salir? ¿Qué les parece esa noticia? Noticia tan ridícula. Eso acaba de salir. Vandal lo publicó. Le tiran bastante tierra a Xbox. Solo se los quería enseñar. Solo quería mostrárselos. Para que ustedes vieran la calaña que es esta gente. Cómo buscan hacer un contraataque profesional. Que no les importa lo que diga esta gente ni ninguna otra comunidad tierrosa. A todos ustedes que vieron, muchas gracias por estar aquí. Les mandamos un grande abrazo. Dice que Xbox Game Pass no es sostenible. Y me gustó un comentario que le dejaron por acá. Pues Halo Master Chief Collection y Sea of Thieves y Forza Horizon 4 casi siempre los veo como los más vendidos, y eso que están en Game Pass. Brillante e interesante respuesta. El contraataque de Vandal a todo esto ha sido que este señor, cara de nalga, diga eso. Muchas gracias por habernos visto. Les enviamos un grande, pero grande abrazo a todos ustedes. Que pasen bien. Ahí, si pueden darnos pulgar arriba en nuestra página, sería sensacional. Y si se pueden suscribir a nuestro canal de YouTube también. Vamos a estar jugando más adelante o dentro de un buen rato. Esperamos que hoy vamos a estar terminando o siguiendo jugar el Resident Evil. Por mi parte, esto ha sido todo. Les agradezco su sintonía y haber estado aguantando todo esto, que ha sido de mucho beneficio para el gaming. Más que todo para la gente que espera algo de Halo Infinity. Por mi parte ha sido todo. Les agradezco por haber visto. Un abrazo grande a todos.
A new day is upon us. A new generation built to fight. Together, we are unstoppable. Are you ready?
Killing spree. Double kill.
Hello, let's do some damage.
Skewer acquired.
Grapple check.
Claim the enemy flag. Return it to base. Ordnance drop inbound. The flag is ours. Please haul ass at your earliest convenience. Now, show me what you can do.